how y'all doing? It's Brittany, and I am back with my first wrap-up ever, and I'm so excited! Yay! Okay, so I decided I wanted to do a January wrap-up, even though I know everybody's doing their February wrap-up, and I will do that. However, I thought, I'm new to this. I want to put content out. It's fun to create this stuff, so let's do it. I only read 4 books in January, so it's not like this is going to be a hugely torturous video. Hopefully not. I will try my best. But anyways, 4 books, and this month I decided to kind of step out of my comfort zone and do something, you know, I haven't, read something from a genre I haven't read in a while. So I decided, well, everybody is talking so much about this YA series that why not? Let's try it. Let's do it. And it turned out to be good. My first book of the month is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This book was surprising and fun. And, you know, I don't really have a lot of lows, just highs for this book. Maybe the only low I would have is that sometimes I felt like the story was, you know, going down a rabbit hole, but then it, you know, surprised me by twirling it back around to the main narrative, which I thought was great. But anyways, if you don't know about this book, it is a very popular YA series about like a high school sleuth. Journalist in the making. And so I'll just read you the blurb real quick, because why not? Everyone in Fairview knows the story. Pretty and popular high school senior Andy Bell was murdered by her boyfriend Sal Singh, who then killed himself. Very sad. It was all people could talk about, and 5 years later, Pip, our main protagonist, sees how the tragedy still haunts her town. But she can't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. She knew Sal when she was a child, and he was always so kind to her. How could he possibly have been the killer? Now a senior herself, Pip decides to re-examine the closed case for her final project, and at first just to cast doubt on the original investigation. But soon she discovers a trail of dark secrets that might actually prove Sal innocent, and the line between the past and the present begins to blur. And that's where stuff starts happening. Someone in Fairview doesn't want Pip digging around for answers, not now, and now her life might be in danger. This is the story of an investigation turned obsession full of twists and turns with an ending you'll never expect. And boy, I did not expect this ending. Without giving anything away, I usually 7 times out of 10 I can kind of pick, well, you know, where is this going? You know, who's the bad guy? Who done it? But with this one, the who done it was very intriguing. It does not, you can tell it's YA, but it does not read YA like most YAs. So it's done extremely well, to the point where you're not sitting here going, oh yeah, I'm reading a YA novel, and you know, this is super fast. It was a fast read, and I love those, especially after you're done reading some really, really intense books. It's always good to have a whodunit fun story. Another thing that I absolutely loved about this, and I know that other people have too, watching the reviews, is that the author, she utilizes, you know, interviews, TikToks, text messages to kind of weave the story and give new information and hints and clues to the readers to kind of like figure out who did it. And I thought that was, you know, it wasn't the first time it was done, but it was done very well. So this was a 5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend if you want something that is fun and intriguing and enjoyable to read, that won't, you know, take you forever to read it, and it's a good story and you don't expect the ending. This would definitely be one for you. And then, of course, my second book was the follow-up, Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson, second in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. This was really fun. I have to say that, you know, the first book was more engaging. However, this book is very intriguing. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars still. Again, YA, but done in a way where you're not going, oh, this is a YA book I'm reading. Just, do people do that? But anyways, so this, yes, very good story plot. There was a lot more character development with our main protagonist, Pip. She had a lot of self-doubt in this one as backlash from, her podcast and the crime. And people are kind of, the way people can be, which is like horrible to anyone who does anything that possibly seems outside of the norm, instead of just, being like, well, good came out of that. I mean, she did solve the murders, but whatever. Anyways. Oh no, she died, and this sequel is about, figuring out who murdered her. I'm just kidding. That's not it. I didn't give any spoilers away. She did solve the murder in the first book, as most people would assume. But with this one, the way this was all wrapped up, it was, I don't want to say disappointing, because it wasn't, but it just wasn't the same. I did not see the ending coming, so that's cool, but it wasn't the same wrap up in a nice little neat bow that the first one was, and that's okay. It's still worth a read, and I breezed through this rather quickly, and it was a really good time and fun. So anybody, like I said, who is looking for kind of a sleuthy whodunit that was very neat. Oh, and I really enjoyed the podcast. The podcast element definitely made it, more engaging. So, good book to read. I do plan on reading the third book in the series. I have not done that. It's on my TBR. I just wanted to do something a little different, but also another book, was on my radar a little more at that time. But yeah, so this is a really good book. Highly recommend. Especially if you need something light and a whodunit. Okay, third book I read. Third book I read for the month of January was a DNR. I do plan on coming back to this book. Everybody's going to think I'm horrible. This is a horrible idea to post on my first wrap up. But it is what it is, and I'm all about, just being, me. I don't know if you've heard about this book, but it's Iron Flame, and it is the second book in the Rebecca Yarros series that started off with the first novel called Fourth Wing. A lot of people have heard about it. I loved Fourth Wing. I absolutely loved how it combined so many archetypes, and so many different kinds of things that we've seen in the past, but just not done that way. Like, for instance, I think there was a little bit of Hunger Games in there, a little bit of Game of Thrones, a little bit of Harry Potter, a little bit of, Sarah J. Maas with her really strong female characters. And I love me some Sarah J. So, I know, for a really long time. But yeah, so I felt like, Fourth Wing really wrapped that up like nothing I've ever seen. Dragons, school, surviving, fight for your life kind of a story was just amazing. It really was well done. I wish I'd have thought of it, but I can't write a book. I can barely, complete whole sentences. So, yes. Iron Flame, super looking forward to it. Super, feeling like this is going to be great. I'm going to enjoy this book. And I just couldn't do it in January. I don't know. I mean, and I got pretty far in it, see? But this is the end. I had to stop. And I'll come back to it. I kind of knew, I had a feeling about where it was going to lead, and I could see it leading that way. And then I just thought, okay, well, I've pushed myself through this to page, 430. And I, had about 100 page, a little over, almost 200 pages left. So I was like, I just got to stop for now. But we'll come back to it. So that was my my third book of the month. And my fourth book that I finished in the month of January is 5 Days at Memorial by Sherry Fink. And Sherry Fink, I love her. To my knowledge, she's only written one more book besides this one, and it was about hospitals in war zones and how those operate and function, and the politicalness, yeah, whatever, that goes on with that. I haven't read that one. I definitely will at some point. But this book, 5 Days at Memorial, is about after Hurricane Katrina, the levees broke and flooded, you were alive when this happened, flooded like the lower downtown area of New Orleans. And because of that, hospitals were cut off from supplies, clean water, electricity, and just horrible things they had to endure to help keep their patients alive. And of course, I have worked in the medical field for a very long time. It's pretty much it has been my life. And my heart goes out to the patients, the families, the staff. This is a deep book. It's a very hard to read book. It's a book where, as a medical professional, some of the things I read angered me so bad, but even just as a person, whether you agree with euthanasia, which is putting people to sleep and then giving them something that stops their breathing and they pass on, whether you believe that that is something that should happen with the patient's consent, obviously, or not, is neither here nor there within this novel. Really, what this it's not a novel, it's nonfiction. I guess I should have mentioned that. There's so many times reading this book that I just scream, WTF. WTF. And I, talked to Danielle about it, and I was in a big tizzy, and I was just like, what the heck? This is not good planning, and how could they do this? But it, and the big part, the big overall arching theme of this is that we're humans, and we do the best with what we have and the resources we have when we have them. And we're all going to make mistakes. Some mistakes that people make affect other people's lives drastically, and some don't. And when you're in a position of that power to make decisions for other people, you really, really have to, or you should, in my mind, take into consideration ethics and morals and the patient's autonomy. And the autonomy of a patient is nothing but them being able to choose what they want to do with their life and their own sense of self. And when that's taken away, it gets real iffy. And it's just a horrible, horrible story of how all of these people were left at this hospital and cut off, and there really wasn't anything in place to help them. A group of people in particular that I'll talk about later if I can get my thoughts together about this. But I highlighted I automatically opened to a page where I didn't highlight. I highlighted so much in this book, and I just have so many things to say about this that this will have to be another video. But anyways, so yeah, that's my first wrap-up. Those are the books I read in the month of January. I hope to get out the February wrap-up pretty soon as well. I read some good books in February. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye! Oh, you're a horrible person.
I wasn't even listening. I was in my real life.
No, you scared the shit out of me.